Some of you might know this guy. He has a few thousand videos on YouTube. He's pretty popular at this point. Gives a lot of health advice. Not only is this man a Scientologist, but he donates copious amounts. His profit margins are insane. They're through the roof. He's an incredibly selfish and void of empathy human being. And the reason I know is because he's my fucking father.
Time is a great revealer of truth. Unfortunately, by the time time catches up, you've already paid. And very often the truth gets buried, like on page 17. Well, today we're back to talking about Eric Berg, Dr. Berg. I hadn't planned on that. I was planning on some drums. But I've got to cover a big story concerning Dr. Berg, because I've been covering him for many years. And this is like a bookend here. Got to get in on this. I was looking for a picture to put here, and I decided on this, and then I started laughing because, wow, I made this up like 4 years ago, and now this is not a joke. Not only is this breaking news here about his connection with Scientology, but there's something else that I saw in my collection of Dr. Berg information that we'll get into. So here's what happened. A few days ago, Dr. Berg's son, Ian Berg, made a video on TikTok. And we're going to watch this, where he talks about growing up in Scientology. Then we'll get on with bigger picture.
As a child, I was told to perform at a level of ethics that I didn't understand, because my parents got into Scientology before I was born. I haven't had a proper education. Private schools, all run by Applied Scholastics, which is a Scientology umbrella organization. These are pretty brutal places to be a child. You have to grow up yesterday. At 5 years old, I was put into the what's called a condition of treason, which just means a betrayal against the group, because I wasn't good at looking up words I didn't understand. A friend of mine, one of my best friends, died. I was basically assured that I would not be able to go to his funeral because I was just another cycle. My mom was the one who said that.
That's Karen Berg. Yeah, I've heard people saying that she's a real Karen. Just something about her personality. I don't know. I haven't watched her because I can't bring myself to watch those live videos that she's in. But none of this surprises me. I won't talk much about Scientology. We all know the controversies about that. I'm not against everything that Berg teaches. For instance, fasting. I happen to be fasting right now by coincidence, which is why I'm wearing this jacket. Let's quickly overview what Scientology is. A set of beliefs and practices invented by Hubbard. It's been defined as a cult, a business, or a new religious movement. Set of ideas that he called Dianetics, a form of therapy. Hubbard himself recharacterized the subject as a religion and then renamed it Scientology. So anyone in this group goes into it knowing that it calls itself a religion. Okay, we'll skip the next paragraph here. It just goes into aliens. Now, I believe in aliens, but I don't subscribe to anything this specific, so that's kind of strange. But I do want to point out one thing here. The secret Scientology texts say there was a ruler of a confederation of planets. Now, I've been meaning to get this record into my videos, and I was thinking about it before I read that. It looks like Berg actually is believing this fictional story by Rush is true. Hubbard's groups have generated considerable opposition and controversy due to their illegal activities. The New Jersey Board of Medical Examiners brought proceedings against the Dianetics Research Foundation on the charge of teaching medicine without a license. That's just perfect. I'm not making this up. Check this out. I was talking about this a few months back. In the 70s, Hubbard's followers engaged in a program of criminal infiltration of the U.S. government, resulting in several executives of the organization being convicted. Hubbard himself was convicted. I didn't know any of this stuff. Fraud. Sentenced to 4 years in prison. I'll close out this page here by pointing out manipulative profit-making business, which is exactly what he's doing on YouTube now. He's gotten into legal trouble himself. Case Watch. Disciplinary action against Eric Berg, D.C. Eric Berg operates a health and wellness center. That's where most of the problems occur. Using and promoting techniques, cardiograph, acoustic, bogus muscle tests. Here's a personal website. Dr. Berg's scam. This person's opinions. His health and wellness center is the most unethical establishment I've ever had the displeasure of dealing with. Now, I keep an open mind. We don't know how much of the story's true or what's true, but none of it would surprise me. And the reason why Dr. Berg being a Scientologist would not surprise me is because from my position of already seeing that Dr. Berg is a huge corrupt biased sellout for the meat industry and anything that sells, I can easily equate these two things, his psycho-Scientology with his diet advice. You know, maybe keto is reckless like every health organization states. Here's some things Dr. Berg has said or written. Quote, "The truth is that you do not have a weight problem but a health deficiency." And I agree with that 100%. I've even put that in my book. Now, health and weight problems are very complex. There's a lot to them. But from my view, it appears that one big reason, there's many reasons why people become fat, but one reason is because just lack of health, lack of nutrients. So if you eat a diet with a lot of nutrients in it, and less of the stuff that does you no good, then you will get healthier. But Dr. Berg talks about what he thinks is a healthy diet. Here it is. The Dr. Berg's healthy keto plan will help you create amazing health. And you know, he adapted the word keto once it became trending 4 years ago. He modified one of his books to make it a keto book. Like 5 years ago, almost no legitimate person was actually talking about keto as an actual diet. The word keto comes from the word ketosis, which is a state that your body goes into, mostly when you're not eating. But I still, after all these years, still don't see any benefits to being in that state. He says this creates amazing health. It's just Q nonsense is what it is. I'm seeing parallels again between politics and the diet world. What I think is the worst thing about Dr. Berg's videos is he makes claims like that one, and then when he tries to validate those claims, backing it up with some science or logic or something, he does a piss poor job. Kind of like what we're going to see coming up, where he says the keto diet is good for epilepsy because it is effective. He's just talking head here. He's ridiculous. You got to tell us why it's effective. And it's a whole separate issue to say why it would be healthy. But there is that picture of Dr. Berg and his wife at a Scientology event a few years back. And that picture has been circulating for a few years. And no one's denying this, so I'd say it's probably true.
So I posted that TikTok. And my father, who has an insurmountable history of being an asshole, wanted me to take it down. My family's no longer allowed to talk to me. My dad drove 4.5 hours, I think a day or two after I posted the video, to my house to bang on my door, tell me to remove the video because it was his big, you know, he can't come out publicly as a Scientologist because he knows how controversial it is. And it's just something he's very, you know, touchy about. He actually was sued by the EEOC because somebody was claiming to have been fired for not being a Scientologist, which, knowing my dad, he did some dumb shit to give her that impression, whether that was his choice or not. After my live, my dad came to my house, was banging on my door, and then my neighbors called the cops and told him to leave. So I'm sure that there's like a team of people working on a case against me.
Now that I've had my say about Dr. Eric Berg, let's hear what this dumb fan of his thinks about the Scientology revelation.
I wanted to talk about Dr. Eric Berg's son, Ian Berg, revealing in a TikTok that Dr. Berg is a Scientologist. I guess the big debate right now is whether or not we should still support Dr. Berg knowing that he's a Scientologist.
Are you kidding me?
Now, I don't think it invalidates the medical advice that he's given.
That sounds really like a biased emotional response to the situation. She wants to make it simple, but that's complicated. But she's just saying she doesn't want it to invalidate his medical advice.
It is unquestionable that he's given excellent dietary advice and offers alternative therapies.
What? How? Wow, she is just has this completely biased brain to be able to say that it's unquestionable. A whole bunch of us have questioned it. That's just a nutty thing to say.
That said, it's not good that he's part of a church that is borderline, to my understanding, a cult, and it has a history of abuse and denialism about certain conditions.
So she is perfectly willing, as a fan of Berg's, she's perfectly willing to separate these two things. That's clearly an emotional response. Yet, with that said, she goes on to say this.
It's really quite a shock in certain ways, because you would think that Dr. Berg would be smarter than that.
No, I don't. Maybe you do, because you are not smart yourself. You know, people have been saying for a while now that society has become dumbed down. Well, we're seeing it right here, with so many people thinking that Dr. Berg is a smart person. Here's a video that I made 3 years ago. This is some of the ridiculous stuff he has done on his YouTube channel.
We have a special guest today. Frank Tufano is here and worked with the carnivore diet, as well as coaching other people. So I wanted just to talk to someone who's done it for a while. First thing I want to say is, like, it's amazing that you interviewed that vegan guy. I don't know how the heck that you got through that, because I was like just cringing. The guy is literally insane. And
We're talking about vegan gains. I have some issues with him, but no more than the average person. And he has depression. And that's not what Berg was talking about. Something that just wasn't insane. Now, who's insane here? Having Frank Tufano on to talk about him being on the carnivore diet long term. Well, since then, Frank Tufano has since quit that diet after 7 years. By the way, I'm on year 26 of my high carb vegan diet. And he mentioned a whole bunch of health problems he had. Next video.
is keto okay for kids to do? Okay.
He did not really explain things, but that's not the most reckless part. He's claiming it's good because epilepsy.
Now, if you think about it, the most popular diet for epilepsy for children is the ketogenic diet because it really is effective.
Even I think before too much to say. None of those kids ever stay on the diet. They get off of it at their doctor's recommendation and their own wanting to get off of it because it's not healthy. Yet Berg claims that the diet is healthy. And I found a perfect continuation here where we see Dr. Berg fumbling through his video and he just looks just real dumb, like his brain isn't really working right. But he suggests it's healthy by comparing it with a really unhealthy diet with the unhealthiest form of carbohydrates. Sugar.
Of keto really is low carb, okay? Low carb. Now, the average child that's between 1 and 3 years old has 12 teaspoons of sugar, right? That's a problem. So keto is very, very healthy because our bodies were not designed to run on that much sugar.
Yes, they were. Just not unnatural refined sugar. With the diet, he never says what he's referring to. You know, what about people who are just watching him for the first time, don't know anything about the diet? That's a big problem with him. He's reckless. He never does get around to saying what you will be eating. What he is actually suggesting you feed your kids. He doesn't actually say it in this video. No, most of these people do not see this. Not only does it seem like the world's getting crazier every week, but it seems people are getting dumber. And not just dumb. There's really something wrong with people, and these people need to be saved. And that was 3.5 years ago. Yeah.
Now, I don't think it invalidates the medical advice that he's given.
Wait, did she say medical advice? Did you call it medical advice? He is not a medical doctor, so he cannot do that. Because I take my investigative journalism very seriously and want to be responsible with what I put out, I make sure I'm really thorough in my coverage, and I put this Dr. Berg fan in my video, but I always want to do a little investigating on the person so I can report to you where her opinion is coming from. And it's as easy as going to the person's channel and seeing, you know, like what kind of stuff they upload tells you some significant things about the person.
Hey guys, Davison here. So I got 30 pairs of thongs off of Amazon because you can buy these like huge packages of thongs because, you know, if you have 30 vaginas, you want 30. That wasn't even funny, but imagine if I had 30 vaginas all over my body, how much money I'd make on my OnlyFans.
If you don't know that website that she's promoting there, it's a site for mostly the certain type of woman on the internet who wants to sell herself. I was close to quoting a song, which I do a lot. I was thinking, this might seem too hard to believe to you if you're not familiar with this area of the internet. But from what I've seen, I believe it. Well, from what I've seen, I believe it. Although I wasn't expecting it, of course. What I was expecting is to see, you know, crazy diet videos. But she doesn't have any videos about diet or health. And because she follows Dr. Berg's advice, I like to see what kind of condition they are in. And excuse me, but she is fairly overweight for someone who follows a person that teaches how to naturally get thin and healthy. Although she's not fat, I'll give you that. But this is what I've seen for 7 years doing this, is when you look at low-carbers, even ones that have been doing it a while, they're never thin. They never get thin. And she acknowledges it right here.
That's silly. This is what I do when I exercise sometimes. And they think you don't have a job and you're unemployed because you're always hiking. Meanwhile, you're just getting naked on the internet. With a body like that and a face like that, she's going to be a Victoria's Secret model. I could never. I could be an internet model, I can be an influencer, but I probably will never be a Victoria's Secret model unless they get plus age. I really should argue for that.
Oh, I was mistaken. She said plus age? I never heard that. I assumed she had said plus size. It seems like she really thinks she could be a Victoria's Secret model. Wow. Maybe she's delusional. Oh, well, there's that word that describes a lot of people in the low-carb community. You try to talk reason to these people, and it never happens. So to this woman here, you are in no position to claim that Dr. Berger is a positive influence in the world. Your YouTube presence is doing challenges, app reviews, and testing bikinis. You are a clickbait opportunist, just like chiropractor Eric Berg. My next video will also be concerning Dr. Berg, but not really about, well, it's sort of about him. Another disturbing thing going on YouTube concerning Dr. Berg.